Hello everybody, and thank you for coming back to the channel, and welcome to this new chapter on the Mosquito. In case you've seen it or you haven't seen it, the last video of the Mosquito did not go too well. I tried to fly it with the big propeller hubs, this one and the other one that I've taken off, and this one actually flew off in mid-flight, so it crashed, and this is the result of this other propeller hub being completely crooked. I still have to figure out what it is. I'm kind of hoping it's just the motor mount that has broken off, but it did not go too well. Also, one of the ailerons, I think it was this aileron, came loose, so I also need to fix that. So, but I'm not giving up yet. I do think that the paint and the lacquer on top did help with aerodynamics, and I think it's still a plane that could potentially fly a little bit more. So what I've done, I've created a new propeller hub, but I've changed the propeller, and here's what I've done, and I'll explain to you how I did it. So basically I do have some propellers that I bought some time ago, which are 3-bladed propellers. They're small in diameter, but they're 3-bladed, so I'm kind of hoping that they'll have enough action or enough power somehow to pull the airplane along, so I'm going to give them a try. I might be wrong, of course. No? So what I have done also is to create the propeller hub. This is kind of as close as I could get it to the design. If you know, the Mosquito has a very big propeller hubs, which makes it interesting but also difficult to make. Now, to make the propeller hub, I took 4 pieces of wood, because I have 9mm wood here. Each of these is 9mm, and I glued it together. I'm in the process of doing the second one. Glued it together, then I carved it down as much as I could, and then I sanded it. I sanded it using kind of a Dremel tool in the hand with some sandpaper, kind of holding it like this and trying to sand it down. I got the idea from somebody on YouTube. I can't remember now. Maybe Max Fly Art. I believe he was doing it like that. So it does look nice. The question is, of course, how to keep it then onto the motor mount, and also if it will have enough thrust basically to pull the airplane along. But that will be the next experiment. I also put on the back, and I'm not sure if it's needed, one disc of plywood that I cut using scissors. That's Cliff's recommendation, to use scissors to cut plywood, and again, I'm not sure if it's really needed, but it does close it off a little bit. So that's going to be the next activity, to create the one for the other propeller hub. Also, I have to open this up and see what's wrong here. I probably have to operate here from the bottom and try to open it up and maybe glue the motor back on, hopefully. So let's see how that goes, and hopefully in a couple of days or weeks we can try it again and go out to fly, and let's see if it flies again. Some mild progress on the new propeller hubs. So I cut out the 4 blocks of wood at the right diameter, the right size. I made a hole and I put in this copper tubing, because that holds it all together, and that allows me then to attach it to the Dremel-like tool to be able to turn it and sand it down. I've also made the back plate, which I'm not sure if it's good for anything, and I'm thinking it might be better actually to have it fixed at this position rather than where it is currently, because at the moment on this propeller, the only thing that's holding the propeller and the hub onto this fixer, onto this hold for the motor, is it's just like 3 O-rings that I'll show you then also later. I need to get some new ones, that's why I can't show them now. So I think it's quite stiff, but it really depending just on that. So I'm just thinking about maybe possible improvements for the future, and maybe more importantly, and more difficult but more fidgety at least, as being I had to open up here. I had to cut a bit of the wood open and then basically reassemble the broken parts to have for the motor mount. Like now I think it's glued in well, and if it doesn't hit the ground again at a strange angle, then I hope it does hold. There was also some more damage to the nacelles. I think it was on this nacelle there, some damage. I leave it for the moment as is, and let's see. So next step is going to be to probably cover this up, maybe glue this piece on back, cover it up, and then start to do the carving and sanding down of the propeller hub. I find that one of the complications of having a twin engine is that this first one came out kind of okay, the propeller hub, and now as I'm doing the second one, I realized it before, but I thought I would correct it, that it's quite crooked. Let's see if it focuses. It's very crooked. So I was thinking if I should maybe try to fix it or not, but I don't think I'll do that. So I'll just rescue maybe the plywood tape or the plywood plate that I have here, and I'll have to redo all this part. So it does happen, right? The first one comes out nicely, you think you can do two, but to replicate something that came out nice is almost as difficult, if not more difficult, than to do the first one. So I don't want to say back to square one, but back to square two at least. So let's see how it goes now. Lately I've been doing progress, but bit by bit, so I haven't been able to show you all the details. Here I have the two propeller hubs. I've painted them black and white. I've put some masking tape and it's kind of come out okay, not perfect but okay. The two propeller hubs, they're a little bit different, but I think you can't almost tell. I used this template that I traced out to see if it would fit the shape more or less, and basically on the Dremel or the hand drill, I was then sanding it, cupping it in my hand and then sanding it this way. So basically I have there the two prop hubs. I don't think they're particularly heavy. If I compare them with the old ones, I would say the old ones are heavier, but because they've got the screws and things, so I'm not sure. Maybe I should actually weigh them and see if how that would be. I've got here the setup for the one that I'd already done. I then took it apart to paint it, and I think I already mentioned that probably the setup should be different, because I should probably put this plate on this side. So I don't know if you can see this. So this plywood plate is basically screwing onto the propeller hub, but I probably should have put it on this side, made a smaller hole, because that would mean that it's completely locked in. As it is, then the propeller and the hub actually will only be held together by the propeller. What we call these? These are rubber. I don't know what they're called. Basically rubber rings that actually used in this case is for gas pipes and things like that I have to sand down. So probably if a propeller does fly off, I'll have to probably do this kind of retro fixing, like another iteration, another version of it. But I'm going to go with what I have now, because this does seem to be quite fixed. I'm hoping it's really stuck. What I have to do now is I have to do the same approach with the other rings. These are I don't know if you can see them, very small rings. Actually I need, it's in millimeters, I think it's 3 and 5 millimeters, so I really need to somehow like sand these down. What I'm going to put them onto the Dremel tool also, and try to sand them down on the sanding block, and to the size that they fit into the propeller hole in there, right, in here. So that's going to be then the next step, and then squeeze in the plastic bit with the propeller, and then basically then that will be it. I'll just have them to put it onto the propeller, onto the basically the axles for the propeller. That actually, it's not the motor, it's a gearbox, and then see what kind of thrust it will have. So I don't know if the 3 propeller blade that are smaller are as good or better than the 2 bladed that are bigger. We'll see, but that's the whole point of the experiment. And I'm thinking also maybe painting also these plates, because maybe the edge that maybe looks just black or something, just to make it look a little bit nicer. And actually, so there's some progress. So probably next progress, hopefully I have it already all painted and on the Mosquito already, and then I have something to show, at least some movement, and maybe some taxi games. I know I like playing with the airplane on the ground. As long as it doesn't fly off the ground inside the house, then it's good. So there it is. What do you think? Let's see. Turns okay. It's not completely centered. I'm afraid that it might again wobble, but let's power up the controller and plug in the battery. Okay, so now I managed to bind it. I don't know if you can see anything. Elevator, aileron, so slightly. I have put in a spot of super glue in there, but very little movement, but something. Rudder is probably the best part. And let's see the propellers. Ooh, it does turn. And it's not as wobbly as it was. What do you think? I'm going up to, let's see, this hard throttle. And full throttle, I have the feeling that, yeah, it does have vibrations, and I'm afraid that the propeller will actually fly off. Hopefully, if it's in flight, then there won't be so much resistance, so it will actually carry the airplane forward, right? So let's see. So some good news. So maybe tomorrow, if I have time, I'll do some taxiing around, and then you'll see this, and then I'll have to wait for a moment to do the re-maiden flight, like the 15th maiden flight of the Mosquito. We'll see. In any case, thank you everybody for watching and following along on this new video of the Mosquito, and I'll see you next time.